Okay, the 10 things, I think it's 10, the 10 things I did to configure my EDC X9L, and so maybe this can help you, decide if you're going to, how to configure your X-frame gun from Wilson if you're, looking to go that route. I guess the first thing is, with the X-frame guns, is 9mm. You'd have no choice for 45, but I wanted to mention 9mm because I think all 1911s made today going forward should be a 9mm. If it is a working gun, a gun that you want to build a career on, a gun that you want to shoot for some level of skill, or a gun that basically you're trying to go places with it, get a 9mm. 9mm 1911s all the way. There's plenty of 45s out there. I'm not opposed to having a 45, but if, heaven forbid, something goes wrong and you got to grab a gun to run out the door and there's a 45 and a 9mm, I'll take the 9mm all day. So there's that. Second thing is, in my case, a 5-inch 1911. Now, a couple reasons that I did that. The first one is, and it's more personal choice, is I'm so used to 5-inch 1911s that it's just kind of where I'm at. So I can't really justify rationally why you should have a 5-inch 1911. So, when Wilson came out with these guns, I think they're initially were 4-inch guns, the 4-inch bull barrel guns, or whatever they call them. This may not be a bull barrel, maybe a wedge lock. I'm not technically sure on that. But they're 4-inch guns. And then I think on the Experiors, they came out with the True Commander 4 1/4. I'm a 5-inch guy. And the reason, well, one, it's what I shoot. All my other 1911s are 5-inch. And, holsters and just everything is the same kind of point, the same, feel the same. But the other thing is, and this is more a reflection of my generation, okay, boomer, which I'm not. But, is I came up in an age when guns shorter than 5 inches were getting progressively less reliable. And, when you're already dealing with a 1911 that didn't have the greatest reputation or was, susceptible to having, being influenced by outside problems, a Commander, or heaven forbid, the officer's gun, I always went with the 5-inch gun. Special note on that, with 9mm 1911s, people smarter than me seem to say that Commander 4-inch, 4 1/4-inch sized 1911 and 9mm appears to be kind of the sweet spot for maybe presentation and slide speed and dragging a gun from target to target to target. I suspect that might be true. But I got to be me. When I got the gun, I never had one of these guns before, so I was like, I only want a 5-inch. That's all I want, is I want a 5-inch. Next option is the rail. Again, I think all modern working guns, if you're getting a 1911 and you're trying to use it for any type of serious work, whatever you want to define that, if it's working, getting paid to carry a gun, shooting competition, maybe you're just like a training junkie and you want to take all the classes from all the guys and have all the certificates, you better have a goddamn rail on your gun, because at some point it's going to get dark. And even if you don't believe in having a light on your pistol, it would behoove you to train with it and experience how that works, how it shouldn't work, and what to do. Also, as kind of an aside, having at least the 1913 rails, but having the rail on your 1911 and your EDC X9 affords you options, for other accessories. You'll see things like, weights, abilities to, the training devices. So, it can measure, you may bolt a training device onto the bottom of your gun so it can measure how you're doing things. Or sometimes even like, an occluded sight. You may have it where you bolt something on the gun and, it'll occlude the front sight so you can practice shooting irons occluded, or, maybe even a laser, just something, especially if, maybe you're shooting with night vision. So I feel like, this was a gun, this was going to be a serious gun, it's going to be a working gun, it's going to be a carry gun, it was going to be the gun. I chose rail. When in doubt, choose a rail on all your guns, because it's really hard to put a rail on a gun, because if you have to put an aftermarket rail on your gun, it sucks, and holsters really suck. Next up, RDS cut. I absolutely went with the RDS cut. It's like I'm repeating myself. I believe any modern gun that you're going to work with, try to accomplish anything with, go anywhere with, or be anything with, it should be optics ready. I'm not saying that you shouldn't shoot irons. I'm not saying you should even put a red dot on your gun. But if you find yourself in a situation where you wish you had a red dot, you're kind of screwed. You're going to be without your gun for months, sending it off to somebody to get it cut. Even Wilson's going to take a little while. And I just go ahead, get it done and march on, because 30 years from now, you're not going to regret having this cut on the top of your gun. It's just there's going to be more shit to put up there, not less. Up next, magazine wells. So on the EDC X9 X-frame guns, when they designed these guns, they didn't have a mag well on them, and the target gun, with the very first example of these, were 4-inch guns, and their target footprint, how Detroit based the Corvette C8, they benchmark it against apparently the 488 Ferrari. Well, Wilson benchmarked the original EDC gun off of the Glock 19, and so it has a 15 round magazine and a 4-inch top end. Now I am 6'1", about 240, and I hate the Glock 19. The Glock 19 is trying to kill me every time I use that gun, and I can't help but notice that most of the time when I see dudes who really strongly advocate for the Glock 19, if I meet them, they tend to be about 5.5 feet tall, which is fine. Not everybody is 6'1", but if you put a mag well on this Wilson gun, if you put a mag well on it, I don't have to worry about it pinching my hand. So that's kind of a deal. Also, the mag well on these guns, incidentally, the way it's pretty interesting. No one really talks about it, but it's recessed in such a way that you can still get a 15 round magazine up in there, and it just fits flush, and you can and it's not like you have to push up the recess to get a 15 round mag in there. So you can make the gun a little bit smaller, but also with the mag well, if I can have 15 rounds in today's world of 9mm, why not have 18 plus 1? If you're competing against all these 2011 guns that have all these bullets in them, I would definitely want to have 18 plus 1. So I'm pretty much 18 round magazines all the time, and that necessitates for me a mag well. Up next, suppressor sights. Wilson kind of answered this for me, but yeah, suppressor height sights are a thing. On 1911s, when you don't have the red dot on them, it might look a little goofy, but if you want to have backup irons for your red dot, go with the suppressor sights. You can always remove them. When you get it, I have not removed the sights off this gun, and it's suppressor height sights. I went with a single-sided safety, primarily because when I ordered this gun, I had no experience with them, and so I had a lot of experience with 1911s, and had a lot of experience with ambi safeties and witnessing ambi safeties doing all kinds of crazy shit, coming apart, flexing, like when you go to work one side and and it like it you can tell it makes for mushy stuff, and it just causes problems. Also in carry, the outside safety can it's more easily knocked off depending on what you're doing. So I went with the single-sided safety as opposed to the ambi safety. Other option on this gun is I went for the GI plug setup. So I don't like full-length guide rods. Also, I do like the fact that even though this is a railed gun, there is enough room on this plug that if I need to push it up against something, I can actually clear the gun. And that's an old 1911 trick, and I don't ever want to give that up. And so, the idea, of course, if it's available on the X-frame guns, I was like, give me a plug, I mean, that's the way to go. White grips. Well, I just got to be me. And so there's a little bit of a story behind this. It's a reflection of my old work gun. It was kind of something I was known for. Dirt bags on the street. They see them white grips, they know who the fuck you are, especially when they've heard of you. So I dug these up. I don't know if you can get these anymore for these guns. These are from VZ. I think these are dirty, gun's dirty, but I actually use the gun. I don't collect the gun like dudes on the gun forums. You might be able to get some maybe out of a VZ or maybe aftermarket, but I believe they were a limited run for an anniversary or limited edition, and so I don't know if they're readily available, but that could have changed. I didn't even look before I made this video. Final thing is, I went for a front night sight on this gun because I thought of it more of a working gun. It's got a black rear. It's a blackened rear. It's a U-notch. There's no night sight in it, but the front does have a night sight, and I paint it. My position on, again, this was all theory when I got the gun because I hadn't seen the gun, and I was transitioning to a red dot at the time. This was going to be my first red dot gun for real. I didn't know if I was comfortable with having a fiber optic up front competing with the dot in the RDS. So I didn't know if that was going to mess up my brain or cause some kind of logical error in the universe and cause all kinds of problems. So I just went ahead and got the night sight, and I actually just paint it. I use a bright yellow paint pen. It's a little bit dark right now, but it's something different than the red dot, and that's the way if when in doubt, always go with a night sight on a front sight. Well, that's about it. If you want to see any more stories or pictures or links on how to set up or configure or shoot your X-Frame 1911, please go to the website at John1911.com. That's JOHN1911.com. Remember, it's all about shooting guns and having fun. Everybody, have a good day.